Okay, so this is the first day of construction. At least that's what we're going to call it, May 1st, 2016. And here is a layout of all of the parts for Sabine's saber. Say hi, Sabine.
Hi, Sabine.
They're real cute. So, running down the basic explanations, we only have 95% of the stuff that we need, but it's just about enough to do it. Only one piece I'm unsure about, and the other pieces are on order and on their way. So first, start with the inside. We don't seem to have lithium-ion batteries. So never mind, we'll start on the outside. We have here the exterior, your housing that you're going to have around it. This is a blade holder. Now, the blade holder is wrong. It doesn't fit, and I'll explain that here in a few. Second blade holder and just rest of varying pieces. So, what this thing needs for construction is, of course, a battery. Got our lovely lithium-ion batteries here. There's also a recharge port, except that we're not going to do recharging on this saber. These are removable batteries that have a charger. And this is a kill key that gets inserted into this thing, so that power gets killed so that she's not wasting battery all the time. Yay, smart thinking. This is a grill that goes into the back of this thing. This is the pommel at the very end. This is a belt clip. I don't actually have the belt clip part bought yet. Like I said, 95%. And this is what's called a blade retention screw. Now, speaking of the blade, we have one really strong, durable blade. It'll work well. It's got its cool little bullet tip. Now, back to the internal pieces. We have our speaker. This is a cover to go on the outside so that we can put the switches and stuff in. Where did I put that switch? Switch is right here. And, of course, we have the heart and soul of this thing, which is a small little computer chip. Don't know if you can see it too well, but it's about yay big, you know. These little clips are what hold this into place in the back, into this piece here. Now, what drives your lightsaber color? Well, that's this little thing here. Now, I already took the liberty yesterday and put some of this thermal tape on there. And this thermal tape is stuck to the bottom of this. And then this thing is your light driving source. With the light driving source, it is a Class 2 laser, essentially. And this Class 2 laser will drive a lot of power through. So I have to wire and put things through those little holes and call it good. That piece gets put into the back of this housing here. And then that is supposed to go into this here, except this is a very old piece that I've had for years. I've spent years collecting this stuff. And it's too thick around that outer brim there. So I've got to find someone to either clear that out or buy a new one, which we can't seem to find. Rest of the tools needed are included are solder, of course. Got to get stuff soldered. Heat shrink, our soldering gun. A hobby vise to put the chip into, and then I use these wonderful little things here called helping hands. Those helping hands do exactly what it shows here. They hold on to stuff. You have a little magnifying glass on top so that you can see what you're doing, and of course you have... Cool. You have this here, which is your wire cutters. Speaking of wire, we have 28 gauge wire in varying colors so that we can color code stuff. Safety is number one, so we have our goggles and our protection for our breathing when we do our spray painting. Plastidip and leak seal is going to be for a rubber coating. These two metallic paints are to paint the outside. She's going to have them in gold and black. They can be reused later, thankfully. And of course, you need a primer. Otherwise, it doesn't stick to the metallic pieces. So, we have our self-etching primer and all the rest that we need. X-Acto knives are very important because, well, you need to cut stuff. The last few pieces here is what's called a desoldering wick. For those of you who've never done soldering before, this is going to be invaluable because when I screw up, it's not a question of if, it's a matter of when, I will need to remove solder. And that soldering wick is the best way to do it. From there we have our drill bits that we've already used to drill some of these holes into this. Obviously they're not very straight. I'm not very good at this yet. I'll get there, I promise. And of course, we have painter's tape to mark some stuff off, masking tape to hold stuff on, and that is about the makings of a lightsaber. Are you excited to make a lightsaber?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, the idea is to see how long it's going to take to not only get the parts, which there's a couple of them we're still missing, but to fully construct this thing. So the next video won't be until probably the end of May, even though this is kind of our first day of construction. I am going to start wiring this stuff up, and I may make some videos with that or not. I'm undecided. But we need to buy a chassis, which is bought and on its way. It's a 3D printed chassis to hold all of the electronics inside the saber. And the final thing that we need to buy is a new emitter or blade holder. And they don't have any in the store, so the only thing I've been able to do is contact someone in London and see if they've got one and see if they will ship it internationally for me. So, other than that, I think that covers all of the lightsaber basics. And how all this goes together, everyone will see later, because I plan to put this up on YouTube and make a very detailed video for everyone. So, one final piece is, of course, resistors. I'll explain the resistance at some other video. But, other than that, she definitely seems very excited to make a lightsaber.